And yeah, as usual, any questions or whatever, let me know. But mute your mics if you're not asking a question. Um, before we begin, any questions about the assignment in general?
Yeah, just one. When is it due?
Is there no date set on the classroom assignment?
No, I couldn't see one at least.
Okay, let me just double check that after class. Just make sure there's an assignment. But basically, it'll be the week after the end of the. Sorry, it'll be the last week of the what would have been the taught classes. If that makes sense.
Okay.
Cool. All right. So
So that would be like May-ish.
yeah, May-ish, yeah, early May.
Okay, cool.
Early May. I'll make sure there's an actual date. It might be hidden from you. Maybe you just or not. It's not set, so you can see it.
Okay, cheers.
Cool. All right. The other question, actually, one more question is after this, I was going to do the UI stuff, and then I was going to show you photo bashing if people are interested. Like just a really quick version of photo bashing. Again, that'd be optional. You don't have to if you don't want to. But that'll be after this. So let's just get through this quickly. So first of all, UI. Essentially, everyone knows what UI is. It's the user interface. So basically, ways of us to show visually and also layered with audio feedback, sometimes even haptic feedback from controllers to the player, what is happening on screen. And there's a number of different types of UI. I think you have gone through that, hopefully. Has anyone gone over diegetic, non-diegetic, meta, spatial with you?
No.
Okay, cool. We'll go over them. It's fairly simple. So first of all, everyone knows what this is. This is a save symbol. What? Has anyone actually seen this before? Like, as in the actual real life thing? I feel like most people are too old. Yeah, have you actually used one?
Yes. Yeah.
No way. It's like 2020. How old are you all?
No. It's I had a class which was something like a computing in my primary school, and then they showed us those, and they showed us just how to use them, but no one uses them anymore, so it was basically pointless. But yeah.
Oh, so what's the point of that? Okay, anyway.
Yeah, I don't know.
Either way, so these are obviously like grandfathered in, and they are still kind of like the standard UI symbol that you use, just purely based from that. Um, I had a really nice story that I can't remember where I got it from or read it from. That like someone asked their 5-year-old kid like what is this, and they're like, oh, it's a fridge because that's where you save stuff. So like the symbol is more important than the actual meaning of the item. So obviously some of you have used floppy disk, but it doesn't really matter as long as the language is common across all users. This was created in 1960s for recording equipment. Again, no one really knows where the symbol comes from, but we now know the right facing triangle as play. This is from a circuit breaker that's on off. So the circuit breaker, when it's switched to on, that's the on position on most circuit breakers. If anyone's done electrician work or has seen a circuit breaker, that's what they look like. Everyone knows what an hourglass is. And then like nobody really uses mail anymore, but we still use this for our email programs, right? So what I'm trying to get across here is that the logo that we use and the visual that we use is kind of like irrelevant as to how it works in everyday life. What's more important is what people know. And that's the most important thing. What is the standard for this UI? And with games, this becomes more important. So, like, what's a standard cursor? What's a standard HUD? What's a standard health bar? There's certain different types that are known to people, and therefore those are the ones you should probably use. So, firstly, UI, as much as possible, we want to get it as simple as possible. Unfortunately, that's not always possible because the more complex the program is, this is like a much simpler version of 3ds Max, which is a program that you'll use in third year. Anyone who's doing asset design with me, this is a way simpler version of this program. This is an older version, and it's even more complicated nowadays because more. Who is not muting their mic? more info is required. So unfortunately, sometimes you need the amount of complexity that we have. Now we're going to try as much as possible in games to reduce that complexity and try to create a lot of feedback that's done through animation and in game. So in game means diegetic. Like a diegetic is a way to say it exists within the game world, and I'll go over that a bit more. Now, unfortunately, again as well, the more control that you want to give to the user, the more information you have to show, and the more stuff there is. Like this is from a logistics system, and it's complicated as hell. But a user kind of needs to have all this info if they're using logistics. There's things we can do. We can make the color better. We can make the font easy to read. We can do something called chunking, and chunking is like keeping things. We talked about that in the rulebook creation, keeping blocks of information away from each other. But there's a multiple different things we can do with this. So there's a few different trends for your UI. I don't know what games you're making, so well I do know, but it depends in your individual game. Your trends may have to follow different types of styles trends. So this is like a minimalism trend where it's very simple, solid colors, no gradients. It was in trend like about 5 years ago. It's still kind of used quite well. Like this is a game called Frozen Synapse, where it's very very minimalistic. Everything is only one icon. The issue with this is that it needs pre-training, so you need to slowly train the player what each of these icons mean. So tutorialization becomes quite important here. This is skeuomorphism, which is essentially a fancy way of saying making the UI look like what it does in real life. So when iPads were first released, this is kind of how libraries used to look. Again, to ease and onboard people onto using the iPad, so the books would work like real books, and it still kind of do. And you would have a literal bookshelf that you would like select books from. And in-game skeuomorphism takes the place of like if you look at the top, the kind of compass that comes from like the compass on. If anyone's been in like a Range Rover, they sometimes have that little ball compass, and it looks like that. Maps are skeuomorphic. Mini maps are skeuomorphic because they reference real life maps. So all these kind of elements are skeuomorphism. And then there's like fake skeuomorphism. This is from Fallout, where it's trying to emulate a fake item that doesn't exist in real life, but it's pretending that it does exist, and showing it in the game world. This is another example of diegetic UI. So technically, whatever you as the player are seeing, your character, your player avatar is also seeing. So this is completely diegetic UI. Laser focus is a method of, if you know of a person wants to do only one thing or very simple things, you remove all of the distractions. So this is the Google page. It's very good at this. Everything is top left if you need it, but most people go to Google to search. So that's the only thing on the page. So that's the first thing that people will aim for. And this is an example from Mirror's Edge, where whatever you're selecting gets super highlighted. Everything else gets disappeared. And even in the mobile, this is the mobile version, the same concept applies. You can also kind of have a version of this like with sniper scopes. You're trying to aim down a scope and only see that part, so it's kind of a laser focus. But this is also for gameplay reasons. So sometimes UI is specifically used for gameplay reasons, because this is it's just an overlay. Sometimes there is like a camera effect or a post-processing shiny effect on it, but really it is just an overlay slapped onto the screen, so it is a UI element. Context sensitive is really important. You kind of want to do this with most of your unnecessary UI. So what the player wants to see on the screen at any time, we need to see health. We need to see important things like, what's my armor? Do I have the key? If I have a key that needs to unlock, things that I need to know right now should be shown. Other things should be context sensitive. So if I walk up to a door, it should show me like press E to interact with the door or something like that, and that only shows when I'm near the door. It doesn't have to show when I'm far away. Here's another example. This is from Dishonored. So when you're near something that you can vault over, there's a context sensitive spacebar to vault, but it doesn't show this anywhere else. And then again, like with QuickTime events, for example, they're also context sensitive. They only show them at the point that you need them. We can collapse content as well. So basically, in-game menus, drop-down menus are collapse content, where you hide things away under a topic. And this is an example from Torchlight 2. Yeah, Torchlight 2. So you can have all the items seen on the right hand side. You can equip stuff, but only when you hover over something and click over something does it show a collapsible menu of the actual stats. We talked about content chunking as well, of like separating things away from each other, and this is like one of the old, yeah, it's from 2012, it's ancient, but it's still used in Apple's displays now. In Apple's web pages, everything has like a little bit of space, and because there is, I know like this is one section, the other thing is another section, and I'm looking at each one individually, so I can have a lot of information shown to the player or by chunking it, because I'm only reading a small bit at a time, so it doesn't stress out the player. What you definitely don't want is like a wall of text or even a wall of images or UI. You can do no UI. This is a little more difficult. It's really nice when it happens. It's generally used in simpler games, so like Limbo is pretty simple. It's just movements, platforming movements. There's a climb and a interact button, and that's really it. So it kind of works okay for that. Now there are context sensitive clues, so when the character walks near an interactable item, they will pull their hands up, and you'll notice that if you go back and play the game, their hand will come up or come down if they're near something that can be interacted. So if you press interact button, it interacts then, but there's a hint that happens before that. Other games will do things like Tomb Raider is very good at it, where it gives you clues in games, but also the character's head will animate and look towards where you're trying to aim, or the character will even reach out sometimes at points that you're supposed to go to. So here are the 4 UI in games that we've talked about before. So non-diegetic, spatial, meta, and diegetic. The explanations are on the left. Essentially, non-diegetic is your basic, what means most people consider the normal UI. There's an overlay on the screen, shows you health, shows you whatever you want to show the player. Technically, whatever the player's avatar is, doesn't see that information. That information is for the player only. So your in-game character isn't aware that this UI exists. Spatial is where the UI is overlaid in the world, like overlay on the world spatially. So this can be diegetic, this can be non-diegetic, but it's on the world and like visible in place, if that makes sense. So like if you walk near the door, it's locked to the door. So if I move around, that UI still stays only at the door. Meta is a bit weird. Meta is like if your in-game character sees it, but you as the player see a version of it. I'll show you an example. And then finally, diegetic is like fully in-game, meaning you see it as a player, but also your character's avatar sees it. A lot of games nowadays try to go as much as possible for diegetic, just because it's a lot. It does a lot for immersion, and it really helps for world building as well. Futuristic games tend to get away with it quite easily. So Dead Space is like the classic example of diegetic, where everything is in-game. It was one of their game design pillars as well. But because they have holograms and holograms exist in this world, they're able to get away with a lot of stuff. Like that weapon selection is basically just a normal UI screen, but because they're like, oh, holograms, therefore it exists in the game world. So here's like non-diegetic example. Everything that's displayed on the screen, all these like 2D, generally they're 2D. If you're making a VR game, they might be 3D, but generally in a normal game, there'll be 2D elements. And technically, none of this are seen by the player character. You could argue a little bit about the health and the ammo there, again because it's like a futuristic futuristic Space Marine. They might see that as like a HUD on their camera, but they won't see like their friends here up there, or their round time. That's all. This is game stuff, like a round time or like score. That's game stuff that technically doesn't exist in the world of the game, if that makes sense. This is a meta version, so the character is looking at a phone, but the representation of that screen is shown to you, the player. So you're seeing what they're seeing, which is what makes it meta. So it is technically kind of half diegetic and half non-diegetic. This is an example of diegetic. If anyone plays Call of Duty or Warzone or whatever, you can pull out this like little heartbeat sensor. There is like non-diegetic UI in the game, but the heartbeat sensor is diegetic because technically your player character is looking at it as well. So anything that your player character opens at or looks at in game that actually exists in the game world, that's diegetic UI. And then finally, this is spatial. So spatial is where it's like overlaid on the world. I unfortunately don't have GIFs for this, but you can see like the wall scramble one. It's like overlaid in line with the wall, so it's like almost pasted on the wall, floating a little bit above it. And this E one that's on the artifact, when you move around, it stays on the artifact, and it only shows when you're within a radius. So this, you can also mix them. This is an example of like where it's technically the spatial visuals there, but that exit is a diegetic thing because that's in the game. That's not a UI prompt. It's just like an actual exit sign, but they're obviously using it in lieu of a UI prompt to go over there. So this is just a smart little use of diegetic UI. And this is where it's non-diegetic, so technically the player avatar doesn't see it. It's not even looking at it. Only you see it, but it's spatially overlaid within the world. So you can have loads of mixes of these different four, but those are the basic four that you will encounter in games. So a good thing to do as well is, this is from Dishonored 2, which allowed the player control over every single UI interface. You can play the game with no UI whatsoever. And there's context clues given by audio cues as well as animation cues, and like particle effects. So that's something really interesting. If you have the game or if you haven't played it, I would try and play it once and then play it with all the UI turned off. And once you know what each animation or each audio cue means, you can find it, you can play the game. So this is a concept we call layered feedback, meaning that like every bit of feedback you give the player doesn't only have one visual or only one audio cue. It has a number of them, so even if one of them goes missing, you're still able to understand what's going on. It also ties into a concept we talk about in second year called universal design. And essentially, the question that you need to ask is just, if my player is deaf, can they still understand where to go? If my player is colorblind, can they still understand what's good and what's bad? So essentially asking yourself these questions and basically creating a game or a UI that is more accessible generally makes it better for everyone, not just people with disabilities. So this is definitely not something I want to see when you send me your design practice games. You can have a lot of information, but there are methods of doing it. This is a mod. This is not like OG Warcraft, but this is way too much information for the vast majority of people. This is from Eve, and even though there's a lot of information shown on screen at a time, the chunking helps a lot with me being able to see separate bits of information. There is also like hidden menus, so like if I click on any of the buttons, they'll open up a different menu, so they're hidden until I need them. And they are also context sensitive, so if I click on certain things, menus will show up related to that thing, unless and if I unclick, they'll disappear. You also want to make just like little things to make UI easier to use, like getting it out of the way, making sure it doesn't block. They're very simple, basic things, but you'd be surprised how many people don't remember them. So this is from Torchlight. It's just a really simple, nice thing that no matter where you open the UI canvas, the camera centers the player. That's it. It's really simple and really small, but a lot of people forget that, and they'll have the UI hide the player, which is not what you want. You want to see what you're doing. You want to see whether you have enemies or not. You also want to have like consistency in your UI design. So this is a really great example in Bioshock of how the in-game items and the UI, the non-diegetic UI, are linked. So first of all, they both look like fluid, and also the colors are the same. They're exactly the same colors as the colors you see in real world. One's like essentially mana and one's health. And the way they look in your UI means like by the time you see one of these, you know exactly what it's for. They even glow the same way. So having that consistency is very important. Just the simple fact, this is a liquid, that's a liquid. They both look, that one's in a little pipe, and this is in like a syringe. That's something that's often forgotten by people. So like they'll have a syringe in game, but then your UI's hearts. Like I'm not that most players will get it, but it's a little bit of an extra help if you can make them linked a little more. And like Fruit Ninja, if anyone's played that, that's a really nice one where the actual UI, you slice, like the game is about slicing fruit just by swiping your phone, for anyone who doesn't know. And your UI is accessed by just swiping the UI. So it kind of is a tutorial as well as like um, consistency in your UI as well. If you can, um, I would absolutely try to have audio feedback in your UI as well. So just loads of little things that just tell the player, I'm doing the right thing, I'm looking at the right place, I've selected this button. It's really weird, like if I press E in a door, for example, and there's no audio feedback, and there's zero visual feedback, and the door doesn't open. As a player, I don't know, do I not have the key? Is the game broken? Have I not completed something else? Do I need to turn on something for the door? None of these, without any other extra audio feedback or visual feedback, I wouldn't be able to know any of these. This is quite important. This is a concept called traceable paths. So essentially, some Skyrim, I can see where I've been and where I can go back to. This one is a lot harder to see in Diablo 3, but like you should be able to see behind there is a main menu. Like there's an options menu, but behind there's a main menu. It's just too dark to see. And in Skyrim you can see like I'm selecting this, here's the selection, but I'm also looking at the all section of my screen. So I can, without even having to press the back button, I can see where I'm looking at, like what subsection I'm looking under. And like the amount of UI you have on screen also completely depends on your game, your target demographic. So on the left, you'll see like that one has RPM, has miles per hour, has the fuel gauge, your lap time. We don't need to have any of that in GTA because that's not what we care about. What do you care about in GTA? Where to go, who's calling you, what's your next mission. So the UI is completely different even though they're both driving games. So I can leave that all for you to read. Like this, just some examples of like commonly accepted health. So like hearts are the really common health, or your glowing ball or bar of mana and health. And at the bottom is like for anyone who hasn't played not Street Fighter. It is from Street Fighter, but any fighting games. Fighting games tend to have this specific kind of color coding. It slightly varies from game to game, but the color coding shows you combos, and it also shows you like how close to death you are. And the reason why it's color coded is because players can see color a lot better out of the corner of your eye, but actually seeing where the bar is, you need to flick your eyes up. So in a very fast-paced game like like fighting games, the color can help players know what kind of like health they are roughly without having to consult the bar itself. And here's like a example of like meta UI. Like technically the character isn't seeing that, but you're seeing that. Now also do note this does affect gameplay as well, because obviously it obscures vision. And this is like an example of like where the actual in-game animation and particle effects also form a secondary feedback layer to the UI itself. So it says Electro Bolt, but even without reading that, I know it's Electro Bolt because it's electricity and a giant bolt of lightning's coming out. So like here is a non-diegetic, so you character doesn't see that, but it does show you. It's just a really nice way of explaining once you understand it. If anyone hasn't played Skyrim, that eye just opens. When it's fully open, you detect it. When it's closed, you're hidden. And this is Metal Gear is a weird one, so technically your character doesn't see it, but it is spatial in game. And then like Dead Space did a really good hologram objective marker version. Here's more spatial UI as well. So here's some extra reading. I recommend, like it's a very short blog. Just go and read that. I'll post it up on the Design Practice website. And essentially I've updated the Design Practice assignment to just say that you need to give me some bits of UI in your game. I don't care what they are. You just need to pick two of them. One of the diegetic, non-diegetic, spatial, or meta UIs. And just have two of them at least shown in your game. Any questions on that?
Maybe it was just me, but you cut out for the last there.
Yeah, you cut out for me as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yarp.
This is for when I was talking about the assignment, was it?
Yeah, you said you updated it to show bits of UI and then you cut out. Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Okay, cheers.
Right. So then I'm gonna move on to photo bashing, which is good for concept art, and just like basic kind of like mood boarding. If people don't want to, you don't have to stay for this bit, but I'm just gonna show you a simple photo bashing. So someone give me a landscape.
Sand dunes, like desert sand.
Easy. Okay. And like time period? Give me a setting. So San
Midday.
medieval, fantasy or realistic?
Sci-fi
Realistic.
medieval.
Fantasy.
Okay, I'm gonna go fantasy because that'll be easier. I could do sci-fi as well.
Sci-fi medieval. Nice.
Sci-fi medieval fantasy. Okay. Okay, so I'm just gonna make a document about the size of my screen.
Is that not just the plot of Star Wars?
Well,
True.
well,
Sci-fi would be part of Star Wars.
Sci-fi medieval, they have the knights, you know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
yeah, but there's
Big
no
brain.
They have swords. They have
Big
swords.
brain! No, don't ruin this moment, Connor. Don't ruin this moment.
there's no robot dragons.
Yeah, we
This
definitely
is,
want some robot dragons.
Oh, robot dragons, yeah.
So first thing, I'm gonna go look at like some medieval stuff for ideas and stuff. I feel like I want robot elephant here somewhere.
Mountain Blade 2 just came out today. That'd be a good idea to look at.
Ugh.
They have big sandy. You don't like Mountain Blade? It's great.
Just everyone keeps going off about it.
That's because it's amazing. The new
Well,
one just came
everyone
out
keeps
today.
talking about Animal Crossing as well, so what?
Because Animal Crossing is amazing, legit.
But
So now we know why we play during your classes, man.
guys,
I'm not playing Animal
I'm,
Crossing right now.
I'm playing the most lit game of 2020, Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2, baby.
Are you playing on Switch?
No, I'm playing on my 360 ported Xbox One.
You son of a gun.
Lords of Shadow 2 is actually gets a lot of bad rap, but I honestly think it's better than the original. I mean, it does a lot of stupid stuff, like 4 stupid stealth sections, but otherwise, I like it.
Okay, I'm gonna look for some sand dunes. I feel like I don't want any kind of vegetation on it. I feel like I want like a desert. So I just Google desert, might be better. So what I'm trying to look for is a high res image if I can. So I might change the tools search for size to be high. Now generally you for photo bashing or for concept art, generally it's internal. Now that's kind of changing these days, so you got to be careful. So the reason why I'm saying this is your usage rights. You might want to have to like click it for label for reuse and modification to be super safe, and that way you know whatever you're using is fine to be used. There's a real famous example from Diablo 2 where they use a NASA crater, and then like they got really called out about it. There's another one from Mass Effect 2 as well. They use a stock photo model, and then people found out because they increased the lightness, and they're like, "Oh, you just took that stock photo model. How dare you, you lazy artist!" I'm like, whatever. Like you don't really, but just be careful because you might have issues. Like one thing that's great for
Like, you're paying for stock photos to pay for the license. So, like,
That's
why
my
pay-
argument, Ev. That's my argument. But like, I don't know. People for some reason were like lazy artists. How dare they use a stock photo? I don't.
It was the same thing with like.
I think it was just hating on Mass Effect 3 that they were just trying to find anything to hate on it.
It was the same thing with like the Aquaman posters. Like they had pictures of sharks, and they were like, "You use stock images of sharks." It was like, "What do you want them to go underwater and take pictures of sharks and put in the fucking poster?"
I didn't see that. Can hell.
Yeah, true. No, it was so hilarious. Like people were complaining about it and like, what the fuck do you want to do? Like,
So I'm gonna nick this one. That works pretty well. I was gonna show you just the. Will that show up? Nah, dang it. Was it Diablo or was it Torchlight? I don't remember. I think it was Diablo. That's annoying. Basically, just took like a crater image from NASA and like flipped it upside down, and that was one of the effects when you did like a AOE effect, and people gave out loads about it. I can't find it. Oh well. Right, back to this. So I've got this. I do kind of want to make this fantasy, so I'm not mad on the background. Let's see if I can use the background eraser tool, which is... Oh, I hate this tool. Never works. Yeah, not great. I might try the magic one instead. Way better. So I'm losing a bit here, but it's fine. Another thing you may want to do, especially when you're erasing stuff off like this, right click and you can feather it, and what feathering will do is kind of soften that cutoff edge. So I don't know if you can see that. It's not as jaggedy. I can increase that feather even more. It just makes it a little softer. I can do it again. There we go. So it's kind of a soft, glowy kind of thing. I'll do something about this bit later. Then I might go and look at a sky that I like. And I guess we're doing fantasy, so let's just go crazy.
John Carter, that was a terrible film. But
Oh, yeah.
true.
yeah, like, good.
True. It was
like,
absolutely
looks.
terrible, but the sky was amazing.
You know the director of Finding Nemo directed that film?
Oh Jesus.
Who's the director of Finding Nemo?
Andrew Stanton. I'm a
They make
Pixar.
Finding Nemo and then they make John Carter like.
I only have this, which is not great.
He also directed Wall-E, so that's another thing. I'm a Pixar dork, so
That
like.
just said being rebooted as a Disney TV Plus.
Wait, what is?
John Carter.
Ah, I can see it.
Okay, I'm gonna be sneaky and try to like resize this. I might try something. First of all, let me just crop out. I need to get rid of these, so I'll just use a clone tool. Where is my clone tool?
We are doing sci-fi fantasy, so the Facebook spaceship could work.
Yeah, but that's how they definitely know it's a John Carter. Hopefully, oh damn it! Hopefully, if I do this right, people won't know that I nicked the John Carter background. Well, they will by the building, but sure, what else? Okay, I'm going to try a thing. I don't know if it's going to work. If anyone doesn't know, Photoshop has this thing called Content Aware Fill. I'm going to try see if that works. This is just Edit Fill, Content Aware Fill. And that's what it's going to look like. It's going to just replicate that and keep going. It's actually pretty amazing what it can do. So I'm just going to go, yeah. Okay.
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty good, isn't it? So like that looks fine. You can obviously see it if you're looking for it. You can see like there's a lot of repetition here going on. especially here. That looks like a bad clone job. If I was like an art director, I'd be giving out about these. This is a very common bad clone job. I don't know if you can see the repeating texture. That's like a dead giveaway, and generally you want to like break some of those up so they don't look so obviously cloned in. Something like that. But it
looks
is
really good
gonna be
though.
a lot of work. It's not bad for like considering I did like 10 seconds of work, My computer did it for me. Okay, let's just get rid of that. Okay, like there's gonna be loads of these little blobs and stuff here, which in a normal thing I would try and fix these blobs. They're not great, but hopefully we'll be able to put enough stuff in there that you won't see. I've just realized that my little picture of a desert has 2 people here. They need to go. Oh no, actually let's keep them and let's make them sci-fi people. So, where am I now? So let me just close these together. These are the same. Then this is the same. Okay. Another thing to do when you're in space is you can try and shift the hue. May not work. Yeah, I like the pinky one. You kind of want to go over the top, a bit crazy. And I'll do the same for the foreground. So you can do a hue, but actually let's do a color grading. So layer, new adjustment layer, and we'll do a color balance, I think works best. And we'll try to tint it a little. So we're trying to make it look as if the lighting's all the same. Oh, I'm doing it on the wrong layer. Dang it. Kind of looks cool though. There we go. Okay, it's a bit much, but let's do it a little. And color grading just helps to make everything look like it's in the same, the actual same world. Because if I don't have the color grading, it's actually not too bad. But with the color grading, because everything's kind of pinkish light, it makes everything look like it's all pinkish light.
It's like some Mad Max / Conan the Barbarian vibes here.
Yeah, a little over the top kind of craziness, which is
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
That's kind of what I
exactly.
want.
Yeah.
I'm going to do an eraser, and I want a soft eraser generally. So one of the ways to get photobashing to work properly or easily is use an eraser, but you use a soft edge, and you raise off bits. So do I have a soft edge razor? Super soft. And the soft fade edge just kind of lets you get away with a bit more. Oh, dang, a bit much. I might go to just normal soft. Lets you get away with a bit more than if you did a hard edge. It makes it look very obvious. So soft edge helps a lot with that. This looks like mist almost. Give me an idea of something to put in here.
A floating city or something if you're going for the
Space
sci-fi
wizards.
fantasy.
Space wizards.
That's just Jedi again. Just Jedi.
That's exactly what I said. Space wizards.
R2D2 there.
Also a little robot that does beep boop beep boop, and he has
Yes,
3 wheels.
R2D2.
It's an image. I can't beep boop.
Yeah, get
Can
them
be boop.
Isabel in there. We need Isabel.
Isabel. How are we gonna put Isabel in here?
Yeah.
Just beep
Well,
boop.
she went to space with the
Oh,
no
Oh,
plastic.
it's like Jason in space.
what was the first thing? Floating city, was it?
Like a cloud city, something like in a city in the clouds.
Okay. I'm just trying to think of what I could do. Does anyone know of like a really cool building or
Like it's
skyline?
something in the clouds. Just try maybe Cloud City. Look that up. That could work.
No, what I want to try and do is I can obviously find a flying city that I could just nick, but I want to
Yeah,
see if I can get bits of a city and make our
yeah,
own. You know what I mean?
there is a flying city, Baz. If you look up the failings,
No, I don't want like a actual pre-made. Well, we can look at one, but how do you spell failings?
F.
PH maybe.
Is it like PHALANX?
Sorry, are we looking for the failings? Are we?
Yeah, what is it? How do you spell
Yeah,
it?
yeah. So type in failings and then Warhammer
How do
after.
you spell it?
failings?
How do you spell failings? Yeah,
Yeah,
type in
that's how you spell
failings. But
failings. Yeah. And then type in Warhammer after it. Just failings Warhammer. Yeah, so there's a flying city there for you.
Okay, that's very gothic though, so I don't know if I want to.
Yeah, well,
I'm gonna try to do something
steampunk vibe.
from because this was done in Deus Ex. What they did was they took the Shanghai city skyline and basically duplicated it, and made
That's
it.
literally what I did with my background for the game.
Yeah, like legitimately, that's an easy, super easy way to do it. So I'm gonna erase. Where's my opacity so low?
Hello? 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 Hello?
Hello?
Oh, Baz is not talking.
I think he's concentrated.
Oh my god, man, it's very hard to like, because I'm push to talk.
That's your own fault then.
Sorry. I've just been like I'm just used to like disconnecting from the Wi-Fi and everyone goes quiet. So apologies if you're
That's all right.
concentrating.
So you see, like the major issue, aside from all the little bits that I forgot to raise off, like it's not too bad, the little bits, and the soft brush helps with that. But the major issue is that the color of this doesn't quite fit, so we'll need to do another hue saturation on it. And another trick to make things look further away is increase their lightness, but you generally have to increase their saturation as well. And then you do the brightness contrast, which is adjustment, brightness contrast. And you drop down the contrast. You can even do it a few times. And then their opacity. So now it looks like it blends a little more. I should have made a copy before I did all that. So that's what I looked like before. And then when we blend it in, looks a lot more like it exists up there. Now I need like a bottom layer for this. I'm gonna... Connor, what? Is that Connor?
What? Oh, yeah. Sorry, I was. Whoops.
And I think Naboo was based on this, like in the Star Wars films. Let's see if
I heard of those films.
they don't exist, but they must have did some concept work on it, I guess. There's only 3 Star Wars films.
Oh, yeah, the prequels, obviously.
Yes, the prequels are the ultimate films. You grew up
I'm
with
glad we
the
have an
original
understanding.
trilogy. We grew up with the prequels.
I didn't grow up with the original trilogy. How old do you think I am? The original trilogy is
do you like sand, Baz? Do you like sand?
Do I like sand?
We know you're a boomer.
Yeah, do you like sand?
My dad
Personally, I hate sand.
My dad wouldn't let me watch the prequels because he really hated them, and he's a big Star Wars fan.
Your dad is a responsible fellow.
I only had the prequels growing up.
What? Surely your dad knew about other Star Warses.
Personally, I loved Attack of the Clones. The fight scene at the end was so fucking good.
Attack of the
Oh, they
Clones.
get good fight
I-
scenes and good like space battles, but
Yeah.
Ewan
Yeah,
McGregor is Jesus.
Ian McGregor is definitely the best.
Ewan, not
Obi, don't
Ian.
at me.
Ewan?
Ew, I am Polish. Let me off.
English is a second language.
I'm sipping borscht at this moment, so you know.
your year destroys
My-
my beautiful recordings. All my recordings, just unusable.
Which me?
Your entire year. This is annoying because it's like it's aiming like it's the angle is sideways. I kind of want it to. I wonder can I warp it?
Straight thing.
Yeah, I wonder can I warp it? I don't think it'll look good though. Well, a bit better actually.
It looks better.
Like that's a solid
C
two.
plus. And
Yeah,
then we'll
that's
put
C
some
plus.
we'll put some glowy stuff on it just to be glowy.
Better than
So
anything I could do.
Seamus, don't lower your standards. Don't worry.
You think that there's standards that I have?
Yeah, what's
No, they're horribly low. That's what I mean. Like you need to stop lowering them at this point.
You think he has standards, Lamar?
maybe
red
this one. Red one. This one. It cuts off at the side. See that?
How to add lens flare in Photoshop?
No, he does. No, he can't use it. It does cut
You,
off on the side.
well, I can erase it. You know how to use lens flare in Photoshop. You use it on the screen mode.
No, the image you took.
Add it on the tip, the very tip of the
thing
bottom.
that was called how to add lens flare in Photoshop.
Perfect.
Let's do like
it looks like a
some
beam. It actually looks like a
small-
lighthouse, like a really shitty lighthouse. For
Hey,
sant people.
I'm
Like
good.
a weird Death Star.
I put 10 minutes of work into this. All right, I want to see.
No,
you do-
no, it's not bad per se because of you. It's yes, it's because of you.
Do you know how it sounds when you say like, "Oh, it's not bad of you. It's just," and then you can't finish the sentence.
You're not bad. You're just terrible. Okay, so then this like little part here, it gets really light, which I don't like. So it should get lighter to the background. Almost always the rule is like the closer it is to you, the higher contrast and the darker, and the further it is, the lighter because of atmospherics, essentially stuff in the way. So this stuff should be way lighter. I don't know if I can just pop the lightness up. Would that work?
Would it not be the opposite
Better.
when we're talking lighting?
No, actually, if there's so it depends on the scene, right? But if there's an ambient light, and so ambient light meaning like the sun or a directional light or whatever it is, generally, in order to look better, the further things away are from you, they look lighter. So to you, it looks
but
like
for
more light.
for nighttime though, like
Nighttime would be actually still the
different,
same.
yeah. Really?
No. Let's have a look. So as long as there's an ambient light source, I don't know, like there. As long as there's an ambient light source.
Oh yeah, I see
the
that.
background still always looks lighter, right? As long as there's a light source, which generally there is, and same here as well. Same thing. It's because of atmospherics, like just like stuff gets in the way, crud gets in the way. It's a really
No,
nice
that's pretty Gucci.
rule.
That's pretty Gucci.
Yeah, it's a cool rule because it just makes things look like if I undo that, that kind of looks weird. But if I just literally all I did was a lighten, and that now looks like it's further away and has scale.
It actually
Now,
fits into the
As a
sound.
rule of thumb,
Yeah.
I usually go, it goes closer to the color of the background. The background is usually lighter than the other things, even in the night. Therefore, it will be lighter.
Yeah, exactly. Things on the same distance should be the same lightness. So that this thing is supposed to be really far away, and it's also too like perfect. Let me just make a copy of the city. I forgot that that's on a. So if you collapse a blend mode, it will go back to normal. So we don't want that. So what I want to do is also kind of blur this shit out because it shouldn't be that perfect looking. So if I throw like a little blur on it, filter blur, Gaussian blur.
Bas, because for me, what I did, would I be able to stream and you just check it out for a second?
Yeah, can do.
All right, lovely. There we go.
So I don't
See,
know if
what I
you can
did-
even see that, but it looks further away. Where are you at?
What I did was basically just like the buildings in front are lighter, and then it goes dark and dark and dark, and then you get to the crane, which is just pitch black.
Oh, okay. So like that's a different kind of look as well, and you can get away with that in 2D especially. Because yours is post-apocalyptic, so the light is gone. I think that works because it's like
Okay.
there's a fire in the background, right?
Yeah, that's why the little thing is.
Exactly. So there's a fire in the background. The middle stuff is darker because the fire is like too bright, I guess, and making them look darker. And then the closer stuff to use light because you have your own closer
That's
light
totally
sources to you.
exactly what I went for. That's. I knew that before I asked you.
It works. It
Are
works.
those buildings in
Gucci.
the middle? Are they gonna have the fire in them? Because like they look very unnatural.
No, they just got blasted with a meteorite. They don't
Yeah,
need a
but
fire.
then that's what cool has to think. Like it
Nah,
looks
bro.
way too unnatural to me.
Nah. Gamer has
It'll
to
be
deal with
fine.
it. They're gonna be Gucci.
Do y'all want to go to general and fight in there and then come back from class? Okay, nice.
No. Ooh.
Okay, so we're getting there. We're getting much better. That city actually looks like it exists there. Again forget to make a copy of the original so you can compare. But that was the original there, which is like looks like a thing that's just stuck there, but literally just by lighting it now it looks like it actually, well, sort of like it's far away, hidden there, and we'll add more onto that as well. What else do we want to add? I completely forgot what we're talking about. City.
Space wizards, I think.
Oh, okay. For space wizards, I'm just gonna give these two like little lightsaber glows. Lol. This'll work. What is happening? Where is my layer? Space wizard. Done.
Oh, is that a laser staff?
That's a laser staff. I actually might lighten the ground around it as well. So let me do the. How will I do this? No, I'll use a soft brush. It's kind of that bluey color, and I will put it on a. Is this a new layer? No, it's not. Make a new layer, and I will put. Okay, so that's way too much, but then I set it to overlay. This should work pretty well. There we go. So it looks like the light source is glowing there. I've made it a bit OTT, so I can drop it down, and that's nice reason for having it in a different layer as well. So there we go. Looks like I should probably label these layers. What else? That was the easy space wizard.
Probably have like an evil Knievel character, like with a big helmet.
What are you at?
What?
Like a big evil
Sorry,
guy
Wait,
in
I
like a
wanted-
black leather.
I have to agree with that one. I'm sorry.
I
Like
wanted
black
space.
leather with a helmet.
Do you want Darth Vader on a motorcycle? Is that it?
No, he
We
has
can
like
put
a
a
cape.
camel in there.
camel, a
I wanted a
space
space
camel.
elephant. We're getting a space elephant. I'll do your leather dude on top of it.
Very nice. Well, he's actually wearing a big metal mask. He has problems with breathing as well. You think he's has asthma or something like that.
What are you talking?
I'm pretty sure you're describing.
I'm just giving you backstory. Make something out of it, bro. I'm giving you the lore. I'm supplying you with. I'm supplying you with like resources.
We're getting dangerously close to Star Wars here.
We're getting dangerously close to Star Wars.
When do you worry about copyright?
Well, we never called them.
Yeah. Do we learn about copyright in class?
You actually should. It is very important. Do you all know like the difference in copyrights and what you can use, what you can't use, stuff like that? Does anyone actually cover that with you? It is quite important. Like it actually is.
To be fair, only thing we got is like you coming at first day and saying like, careful about the copyright shit. That's it.
Yeah. So do be careful about copyright in general. Copyright is automatic. So when I make something like this beautiful thing that I've made, this is copyrighted immediately. I don't need to copyright to do anything else because I made it. It's copyrighted. There's another thing called trademark, which you need to enforce, and trademark is like Disney or like Mickey Mouse or something. The character, those are trademarked, which means they belong to a trade, which is Disney, and anyone
Should
else
be in
who
public domain.
They should be, yeah. That's a different thing, yeah. That really should be in public domain. So anyone who doesn't know what public domain is, that means free for anyone to use. Generally, because the authors or creators have died over 70 years ago, I think it is.
It probably used to be like 50 years ago,
It
but like
used to
Disney
be
have been
50.
like extending it. Disney have been
Disney's
extending it.
lobbying.
They
It's-
don't take patent or something.
And that's ironic because like all their Disney's only famous because of public domain stuff.
Yeah, that's also the way it is, isn't it? You use public domain stuff to make it big, and then you start going after. Like a lot of the EA studios did the same, because like loads and loads, especially Mass Effect and space, kind of like sci-fi, will use NASA images, and NASA images are public domain. But then they'll create something like this, where then they'll go, well, this is our copyright. So it's weird.
If you look at all the stuff for what's it called, Sherlock Holmes, you'll have some great stuff and some shite stuff, like the Robert Downey Jr. movies, but then also the TV show.
Yeah. To be safe, Google does have that search function where you go. I can hear myself in someone's mic. That search function where you can go label for reuse and modification. That is the safest one. So non-commercial reuse and non-commercial, that just means you can use it, but you just can't sell it. So those are important. And then there's stuff like Creative Commons, which generally there's loads of different types of Creative Commons. Here are the different options. There's loads of different types, and they go through what you can and can't do. So you can share stuff, or you can remix, and that's fine. You can use it commercially. Those are like usually the most open ones. You can do whatever you want with them. There's other stuff where you can only share, or you can only like remix it, and then other even less where you can only share. And a lot of them that you see the way this is by, that means you need to have attribution. Oh, here's a better one. So attribution means like you have to say that this person gave you their stuff, like, and then no derivative is you can only copy or distribute. Verbatim copies means I can't do what I'm doing. Where I took that elephant picture and I'm like editing it now, I can't do that technically according to no derivative works. Share alike means you can use whatever you want in it generally, but then you also need to have the same license so other people can use what you've made, and then non-commercial and blah blah blah. So there's a bunch of different Creative Commons rules. Public domain is different. Public domain just means it's completely free for anyone to use. One really useful thing is NASA. So all the NASA images are completely public domain. They're like super high res. Their video library is massive, and some of the stuff, oh, that's way better. We should have used that for the screen. I'm going to put that in the background. So like, this is completely legit what I'm doing right now. I'm just going to stick that in there, and that's completely fine because it's NASA and it's public domain.
I'm still thinking we should add the cyborg with Astra. Just saying.
Give me a second. Give me a second. I'm just trying
Agreed.
to do.
Take your time. I'm not rushing you at all. Just cyborg with Astra.
Coronavirus gonna get him.
Yeah, I think so. Is there space
Also,
corona?
as a curiosity, when it comes to the whole copyright thing, because because fan-made things exist, and kind of it's more cut and dry when it comes to fan art. That, oh yeah, it's these images, they are of characters. Sure, you can draw them, you can post them, but you can't earn from them. But then when it comes to things like fan games or any other media or fan movies, what about them? Because they can affect the
It
image of
depends
the
on the the actual thing though.
And it also depends on the rights holder. So, like, for example, Sega is super cool with fan projects. Meanwhile, Nintendo are dicks.
We've seen what happened with the fan projects that Valve was allowed.
True.
Yeah, but then you also get Sonic Manias out of fan projects. So
Well, Black Mesa's great.
Yeah, but then Hunt Down the Freeman.
Yeah, but Black Mesa. It's all okay
Yeah.
for Black Mesa.
You put a tusk on his forehead as well.
Have you
Make
seen?
him a unicorn.
I'm
Pretty
trying to
much
make a
all the-
serious photo bash here, and you're trying to
Yeah.
meme.
Pretty much all of the news for Half-Life Alex
Would be
is
like
just
a-
about it
It would
being
be like a space
made
unicorn.
in VR.
Sorry, I didn't know what was happening there.
All the news for Half-Life Alex is about how it's this is what Alex looks like without VR. This is modders making the game without VR. Soon we'll have a non-VR version of the game.
Did they not say they were gonna release an on VR?
The lead designer said he's excited to see modders make the game non-VR.
Valve are generally pretty good with fan made mods, but then they have the money to allow that, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
But Nintendo's the biggest dick about fan games.
They
stuff,
are.
Though.
They do hoard their IP. But that's the whole thing about trademark. You have to enforce trademark, otherwise you lose it. So sometimes when they're being real dicks about it, it's because you have to do it. Otherwise, you lose the right to say, use the word Nintendo. So if I started making a game company and I called it Nintendo and I started selling games and I'm like, I'm Nintendo. If Nintendo didn't sue me when they found out about it, in law, I don't know what the time limit is, but I could argue, well, they didn't care about it because they didn't enforce their trademark. Therefore, I should be
It's 5 years. The squatters rule, no?
I don't know what the rule is. Yeah.
Yeah, but then if you relax, say like the aforementioned Sega, you get really great stuff from it.
But relaxing may cost you a bottom line. So Sega isn't really they are making money, but Nintendo's whole thing is their brand, I suppose, and that's really important for them.
I mean, it makes sense to do it, but obviously you have to look from the perspective of the companies. Riot was suing all the companies that were making versions of League of Legends similar to the phone. Now it makes sense though because they're making the version of their own. So if someone else had claimed it,
when Battlegrounds try to copyright frying pans in video games.
Yeah,
that's just a different thing entirely. That's just I don't know what they were thinking.
Just a meme.
Let's not talk about that one, to be honest.
In the case of using CCO textures for 3D models and stuff in commercial games, is that frowned upon? Would people look down on you for using them?
I think some people would, honestly, especially because for textures and materials in general, you can procedurally generate your own really easily nowadays.
Yeah.
So there is a little bit of backlash on that. Now, I've done it before. I know loads of people have done it, especially when you blend a material no one really knows. I have stuff out there that I've never been called out on, and it to me it's super blatant, but it's very hard to find out.
So it is frowned upon then, but
it is a bit it depends how much you modify it. So there's no hard and fast rule, which is really annoying. There's no do it this way you're fine, do it that way you're not. It really is up to the individual, and that's a bit of a pain. What Asthma Leather dude?
Asthma Cyborg, yes. Asthmatic
Oh
Cyborg.
man, like this class should be finished in like 20 minutes.
Just add him in the front. Even his helmet. I think he should wear a helmet
A
because
helmet of
he
a
probably
cow.
has a bad
Track
facial burn.
No, I don't want that. Yeah, let's. Oh no, he's no helmet. Dang it.
Maybe if you look up something along the lines of Darth Vader, you might get an idea of what
Huh.
Dan's going for.
Darth Vader?
I wonder if we're gonna get
That's
copyright
it
for
sounds
that.
like that's in German, bro. Not gonna lie.
Vader, yes, because father.
Oh wow, that means father? Oh, I hope that's not
Yeah.
directed to the plot.
No, not at all.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
This image will have no daddy issues at all.
Oh, very good.
Just call it Dark Daddy.
Oh God, no!
Yeah.
No, do not call it that.
No, we're not calling it
But
that.
then, what
My
about Big Daddy from Bioshock?
beautiful recording.
Slap an ooh at the end of that, and oh, you're good to go.
I'm just gonna steal this dude.
Imagine
like
in the
Dr. Brian
future,
O'Leary.
we get future first years trying to find these videos and try to get some reference to shit to just go through this one.
Do you not think the generation after you is gonna be even more memey?
Probably. No,
I mean,
but like we're already memey, no?
Are we?
I think the TikTok people like that. They're a bit
Oh
younger
no, not
than
the
us.
TikTok people.
God.
Is TikTok
Not
not your
TikTok.
generation?
It
No.
is, but it's young.
No, not-
It's the younger ages, like 14 and down.
Yeah, like at least 10 years age difference.
Oh, is it 14? That makes me feel
Yeah.
better.
No,
14 and 15.
No.
Around 14
up to
15.
No, even younger than
Well,
that. Like,
Yeah, it's very young.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Evan
that
makes
makes me feel better because, like, you know, you like dumb stuff when you're young.
but that hurts. Like just watching them,
Like-
it just hurts.
like my younger sister's generation would be into that, and my younger sister is like 9, 10. No, how old is she again?
That's a bit concerning.
It's
why are you
your
asking
sister, I
us?
don't know.
I remember back in the good old days when it was Halo good, Minecraft bad, and now it's Minecraft good, Fortnite bad.
Oh, lol.
Oh,
No,
jeez, look
I'm
at
not
you.
forwarding that because
Oh,
Minecraft is bad. So.
she's going in the window and she tells me 11. Okay.
Good to have a sister that reminds you her age.
Good update.
Good luck, my dude. There we go.
Very good.
Lovely.
He has to hold a big inhaler, a big inhaler. Oh, he's riding the inhaler.
He's riding.
You know what? Why not?
Generally confused.
Yes! Yes!
Wait, let me find one in the.
When David wears you down enough.
I need
What?
to flip it, I
When
think.
you wear Bass down enough.
It's all about consistency, folks. It's all about consistency.
So
How
it's-
much have you had to drink so far today?
Well, it's 4 o'clock. Maybe like
Okay.
2 liters.
Make it like a fucking skateboard.
Yeah, it's like a hoverboard.
Yeah, I go.
I'm doing, I'm doing.
Oh my god. Put wheels on it now.
Like a surfboard.
No,
There's a
Hoverboard doesn't
hoverboard.
have
Oh,
wheels.
hover, yeah, hover.
It's like the Silver Surfer right now.
Put a
He's-
little light
he's
source.
the Smatic
Put a little
surfer.
light source. Man, put a little light source underneath so you can actually see.
Yeah, I'm gonna do like a glow underneath, and I'm gonna do something a texture overlay.
So cool.
What's the backstory in this?
Well, the space wizards obviously have found a
space
magical
wizards.
space
Elephant?
power. What should we call the space power?
Corone the Axagout.
The pull.
How do you spell that?
The velocity. The velocity. Yes.
I think I'm pretty sure it's making a weird version of Dune.
Or the momentum. Aren't they working on a Dune movie now or something?
I think so.
Dude, they've made like 2 Doom movies already.
Well,
and like
there's
they're
the
wrong.
80s one, and then there's the modern one.
There's no 80s Doom movie.
Yeah, yeah.
No, Dune.
Dune.
Oh, June.
The
Oh.
recording, guys. The recording.
What
Rest
was I
in
looking for?
peace.
Oh yeah, texture.
Light source. Light source.
Not yet, not yet. I'm
Not
just doing
gonna-
the texture first.
Okay.
Because it looks like
Like,
an
the first
inhaler,
half,
but I'm going to try to make it look not like an inhaler.
the first half of this class was very good,
True
and
skill.
now it's even better. All I'm saying.
What the lecture? Do you like the lecture?
Yeah,
Yeah.
To
it's
be
pretty
fair,
easy.
when
Like,
you
we
do
learned
it
a
like
lot.
that, like I'm gonna give a bit of criticism, but there's nothing you can really do about it. Like it's just that it's very uninteractive, whereas in class
Man,
you can just.
stop! It's so uninteractive.
Fry with the
I
shade.
know.
No. Like I completely agree. Completely agree. I'm sitting there like talking, and
And
it's
we're
like I'm
just
talking
there,
to myself.
yeah,
Like
yeah. Like,
Do you
and we're
prefer when we
there,
do this?
I kind of do, to be honest, because at least I know you're there.
Yeah.
I know you love the Space
Yeah,
Wizard
like
and
half,
the
half
asthmatic
people are
cyborg.
muted, you know.
I mean,
the
like,
other half are
hopefully
just
people
saying,
are
like,
learning
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, you know.
Man, give me
Also,
like a
quarantine
surface that looks like sci-fi.
Metal.
Hmm.
Do you try to find like
Or
sci-fi metal or something?
neon.
Neon, true. Neon could work really well.
Oh, one of these.
Wasn't this supposed to be like medieval?
It's turned into.
Listen.
All you
We've
gotta do is turn
gone
on
off the
lightsaber and it
topic
all
so
turns
much that I don't think it really matters anymore.
Well, the Space Wizard and the asthmatic cyborg fit.
I think we
No one
stopped.
cares what you want, David.
I think we stopped going like medieval when we had a floating city and the elephant with 4 tusks.
Now, you see,
That ship
Seamus,
sailed.
that is just not correct because at the end of the day, we do have a fucking man standing on an asthma inhaler as a hoverboard. So don't think
Exactly.
it's really that no one cares.
Besides, the Space Wizard is still there.
Flying towards the guy with a laser sword.
It's a Space Wizard, Jack.
Yeah, I know, but he's got a laser sword.
It's clear to see it's a Space Wizard.
Wait, the guy in the.
It's a laser. It's not a laser sword. It's a laser spear.
Oh, it's a laser staff because he's a Space Wizard.
Yeah, the laser stuff wouldn't work.
What kind of wizard is he though? Like
Space
what's his
wizard.
class? What's his class though? You know.
What's his
Necromancer?
He's a druid.
No, not
Warlock.
Necromancer.
No,
Warlock.
Pyromage or something. Pyromancer.
No. He
He's in the
uses gravity to like push and to pull things to him.
You're describing a Jedi. You do realize?
What's a Jedi?
What's a Jedi?
He can also what is that, Jack?
I have not heard of this so-called Jedi.
I have not heard of this concept. It's
If,
totally a word.
if
It
this is
seems like a
listening
very
in,
good but very like bad franchise in some parts that would make billions
Especially
of money.
when you
It's
have
got-
Rian Johnson behind the wheel.
like it's
Hey,
the type of,
hey,
it's the type
look,
of,
Knives Out is really good.
Oh,
Knives
Knives
Out
Out was
is
amazing, yeah, but that's because he learned from his mistakes.
not necessarily like he's done like Looper. I haven't seen them personally, but Looper, Brick. He's directed really good episodes of Breaking Bad. Leave the guy alone. Come on.
His Star Wars episode ruined everything.
oh, that was the fifth one, or not the.
I mean, what Star Wars?
I love how
You
they
actually did a very good job on that, Baz,
They-
honestly. That
I'm
looks
trying.
Yeah, it actually looks good.
The curve and shit, it's actually
You get like
as
flames
if it's
on
like
the
an
top.
object that's like doesn't look like it's folding yet, but like it actually
Yeah,
looks
because
like a
the top looks like an exhaust port thing. Then you got the body.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to make
And an inhaler.
the back exhaust port exactly. And then I'll put a glow and we'll put some smoke and stuff in it actually. So I have a book where this dude made like an entire sci-fi robot soldier using like a stapler and a printer, like by using these techniques, and it really looks good. Like,
That sounds insane.
yeah, it is. It is. Like, there's things you can do. That's why I like photobashing.
Just use shit that others have used before us and say it's ours. Artist.
Something's up with my shortcut, so I'm gonna have to use the toolbar.
Toolbar is probably more useful for us so we can actually see what you're doing properly rather than
True.
just sitting.
True.
the heck is happening to my Photoshop?
Are you on a different layer?
So, like, I'm selecting that layer, right? And if I try to move it... Oh, now it's fine. Super weird.
See, it's
Wasn't
just
that
it
different
just needed a
layer?
touch.
Now it's broken again. Oh no, is my push to talk mic like... It might be like a shortcut. Help!
I'm saying Windows G would need help.
Oh lol.
Oh fuck.
It...
It just flipped everything.
Actually,
nice.
this is a good one.
I
When you
think
flip
this
the whole
looks better,
canvas,
honestly.
It looks
it's
like completely different.
yeah, it looks completely different. And like anyone who's a painter or like trying to do like a concept art or anything, when you flip it, you generally see the issues that are wrong with it. It's like a trick that I was taught ages ago. So you just have a shortcut for flipping everything.
Hey, that was a disconnection. Ooh. Oof. It has wheels.
No, that's exhaust ports, bro. That's a hoverboard. Hover
Yeah.
engine.
Yeah,
Nice.
man, we just
I
put
just need to
the
do
gas
something with the
coming out of the...
front because the front looks a bit dumb.
I
Make
think
the
a
gas
robot, because he's not like facing with it. So if you put a robot in the front, it's an autonomous hoverboard.
What do you mean, like a robot? Like
Like a robot driver, like a circular head, like a cylindrical body.
Like attach the
oh
thing or like
no. We can just get rid of it.
I
Actually,
say it looks fine. It looks fine.
I really
It
need to
has a whole
label.
inhaler vibe.
We've created such a cool sci-fi universe.
It could be like a 9 episode movie series.
We'll call it War Stores.
Oh fuck, that's good.
dude.
War Stores.
Okay, now for some. What do we want? Some glow, right?
Yes. It's a neon inhaler hoverboard.
If you could spell neon correctly.
Get the man
Did
off.
we get it?
Neon.
We got it, right? So
True.
oh, I don't like these. I might just reuse a lightsaber.
Very good. I
You
mean,
can
laser
steal the
staff.
neon colors from
You should do the neon color from Infamous.
Infamous,
from,
yeah.
First
Two,
Sons.
Infamous 2.
She has really nice neon. Like, look at that. Pow pow.
How am I supposed to nick it off?
You're not.
Just type in trail. Should come up.
Lol. Let's see, maybe.
I have faith in you, Baz. Believe.
I mean, he did make a space cyborg.
with asthma.
Indeed.
So does he always have to stay on the hoverboard, or else he'll like start dying, or does he have to constantly puff from it?
I think he has to puff from it. For lore reasons, I think he just was very badly burnt in a freak accident.
It's like
so
Vape
now-
Nation.
Yeah, it's like Vape Nation all
Pretty
over.
much.
Just
This is
Vape
what we come to,
Nation.
pretty much.
So he vapes neon dust.
Yeah.
Yes, as everybody does.
Yeah, dude.
Isn't that like the whole plot of like Judge Dredd?
Yeah.
People.
Much.
So we have 2 movie franchises that we're ruining.
Judge Dredd's a
the first
comic
one? What's the first
franchise.
one? What's the first one?
Much better than the movies.
Where that I don't know. I think it would be a good series. We have a lot of fan base, most likely.
I do not know what you're talking about.
You don't know what
I
Judge
know
Dredd
it's never
is?
created. Oh no, Judge Dredd. We know what it is. We're talking about this universe that this space wizards are based off of.
Listen, just for me, because I'm having a struggling pain during the quarantine, can he have a pint of Orchard Thieves with him?
Did you not go to the offie?
France legal now. He can drink.
That first part of this was going in a very weird direction, but then it.
David,
Oh wait, I have a question. Actually have a question. Because I haven't been keeping up with Irish
No,
politics.
you can't do real questions in here. This is all about memes.
Oh. No, okay,
And
okay.
Animal Crossing.
Only memes, man. Only memes.
Okay, due to Animal Crossing, is Ireland on lockdown?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
You can't travel like 2 kilometers.
You can't go 2 kilometers out of your
You
house.
you can. You just can't leave 2 kilometers for exercise. You can go to shops or to get medicine or to take care of someone.
Yeah, you can't go past the 2 kilometer thing.
You can. It's just they want you to stay 2 kilometers for exercise. But if you need to go to like pharmacies to get medicine or to care for someone who can't care for themselves,
I want to hit the pub, like.
no pub is open.
I know.
Literally, they're all
Pub is
closed.
open right now. Like,
Actually, unless Jack, you're in Galway. There's probably a few pubs that are not adhering to the restriction.
Not that I know. I haven't left the house at all.
I think people are actually being pretty good about it, which is,
surprising.
I mean,
Listen,
I mean, do you want to hear
had
a story
drop
from
of
my
alcohol
town?
for my birthday, and I'm depressed. So.
I think a certain site is responsible for that.
What's
Fran,
this?
me neither. You can survive.
It was depressing.
You can take a stab at making something yourself.
Do you want to hear what happened? A bunch of old lads got locked themselves into
I
a
was
pub.
gonna do a drunk stream, but no.
They
there
all
was
6 of
no
them got
sticks of
drunk,
alcohol in my house,
and
and it made me
Fran,
really
and
sad.
no streaming without my advice on streaming.
Wait, Adam was
Excuse me. Why are you
saying
ignoring me?
Wait,
I said I have an entire list, like I have an
Yeah,
entire
but
page of
it's
things.
because every time I turn on my stream, it's just for the fucks of it. Like,
Fran,
Fran,
mute your
become a
mic.
professional little e-boy. You have to
what?
do it.
David, what?
Eva was talking. I couldn't hear because you started talking.
Gonna be fine. We're gonna survive this quarantine. At least I hope.
Sure, I've been
We'll be
preparing
okay.
for this.
We'll be okay.
Frown the optimist.
Sure, I've been preparing for this for 18 years.
Listen, man. I was so happy when I reached 18 that I would be able to go to a pub and drink legally, and they announced the full lockdown on my birthday, and I'm like, no, why are
Drink
you
at home.
doing this?
It's cheaper.
I just give it 6 months. Then we'll be like.
Give it 6 months. Sure, man.
Give it six months till we're allowed to start doing more social interaction. Another year and a half till we're allowed full interaction. If the cure comes out by then.
If being a big word here, Seamus. Very big word.
Well, America said they're going to be open by the 30th of April, so yeah, that's definitely going to happen.
Sure, they will.
Man.
Why can't I draw? Oh, okay. My opacity is too low. I just want a little shadow. Why isn't it showing up? Is it set to screen?
Maybe you wanna erase that now. There we go.
Do a little shadow down the bottom. Okay, can I finish yet? Oh, done.
What are we missing?
I mean,
more.
Literally just fill every
there should be an army of white cyborgs with no asthma as well.
We need to
In
put
the
Will
honor of my
Smith
birthday,
and then about
demand
50
a
robots,
pint of
and then we
water,
can call
please.
it done.
50 robots and an
All the
army of
robots
white
have to
cyborgs.
look unique as
Okay,
well.
now we're just ripping off
They have to
iRobot
look
now.
like they're from iRobot, but not really because of,
Copyrights, obviously.
trademark and copyright.
Us ripping off shit?
I'm pretty sure there's like
Never.
5 films ripping off right now.
What, us?
Yeah.
Ripping shit off? Never. We would never do such a thing.
Oh god.
But they all
Also,
the
if you
robots
could
have to look like
clone
elephants.
an army of white men in a robotic armor
What?
that look a little bit like a
That got
bounty
worse and worse.
hunter.
That started somewhere where I didn't think
I
we
know.
would.
I was like,
The start of that sentence was
I was like, reel it in, David, reel it in.
See, it's just clone an army of people that look like a clone
Okay, we're
of a
done.
bounty hunter.
David, if you just want stormtroopers, just say you want stormtroopers. Okay.
What's the?
It's your 50 iRobots.
Oh, guys. And I think that's
See, this is how we're supposed to be doing design practice.
Yeah, this is beautiful.
This is
What is this
amazing.
writing you're adding to this?
Baz, is this my birthday present from you?
yeah, that's enough. He's done.
Thank you, Baz. This has been a very good
No,
class.
change the font. Change the font. You can't really see.
Oh,
actually
Comic
gonna
Sans,
put-
Comic Sans.
We need
You'll never
Comic
seen.
Sans. Comic
do
Sans font.
Make it red. And
Sans,
yes,
this
Comic Sans is beautiful.
Comic Sans.
I look away for 2 seconds.
And it all gets
Beautiful.
real.
Now move it a bit to the left. Yes, and now change the
Perfect.
color to fucking
Red.
red.
Let me get him to fix his handwriting.
Perfect.
Seriously
Baz.
though, there's like also effects here, so you can do like stroke and stuff. I don't know if you know that already. So I can do like a little stroke around it, for example, like that.
Oh, that helps it a lot. Yeah.
That actually makes it look nice.
True, it actually makes it queer. Like.
Ooh, that's fresh. That's fresh.
And then there's glow and stuff like that. So you can do like a outer glow, and you can do shadows and stuff.
I was looking for that. When I was
Oh,
making,
sorry.
Now
This
you have
is how
it.
you do it.
I was making a Twitch banner and I was looking for that.
Are you plugging your Twitch, David? That's
Oh yeah. You can
No,
also
no,
catch me
no,
live
not
on
again.
twitch.tv/DixbyFloppy.
David, what's your Twitch? What? How do you?
It's
don't.
twitch.tv/DixbyFloppy in case you missed it, Baz.
Hey,
Oh
Let me
no,
put
I
it-
can't. I can't do the last
why
part.
does he-
Sorry.
Why does he get?
It's a French 10 be floppy. French 10. No, do it DIX. So it's French 10. It's literally French 10. Don't worry, you can do it.
I've literally memorized it from
No,
time
no,
to
no,
time.
no. This is a trick.
No, it's not. It's
No,
literally
no, no.
French
It's very
10. A French
Salawi.
10 is DIX.
Why does
This-
he get to promote his
Underscore B underscore
Oh, here's a
floppy.
clapping distance.
B floppy?
Thank you.
There we go. Everybody go join and subscribe.
It sticks with a DIX. It's fine.
We all know what it is.
What are we streaming today, please?
Why does he get to promote his Twitch and I don't?
Well, because I do.
Because he's not playing League. He doesn't play League.
He doesn't play
He's not a
League.
piece of shit.
League of Legends. Oh god.
He plays real games like Siege.
And World War Z and Arma.
This has been amazing.
Game did I play?
And also Minecraft.
Thank you so much, Baz. This has been amazing.
No worries, y'all. Thank you for
No worries.
watching.
Ciao, Bell.
See y'all.
He's out of there.
See you, Baz. Thank you. It's been great.
David, Arma.
Cheers.